Hi, I'm Chris from ChrisAmericoast.com, and make sure you subscribe to this channel because right now we're going to talk about words that people usually mispronounce because there are pieces of the words that people don't even say. Can you believe it? You go to the supermarket or the grocery store and you buy some food, and some of that food might be vegetables. Like I might tell my daughter, if you don't eat your vegetables, you can't have ice cream. First of all, you need to understand that I have an American English accent. I'm from the United States. So how I speak sounds a little different from how people in the UK or in Australia speak. And the words that we're going to talk about today typically have two ways that you can pronounce them. You can pronounce all of the sounds, or you can leave some of the sounds out. For a lot of these words, many native speakers leave out some of the sounds. So our first word is vegetable, but some people say vegetable. But let's go to the second word, comfortable. I hope you're comfortable because this is a 12-hour flight. Can you repeat that? I hope you're comfortable because this is a 12-hour flight. Again, it sounds like we left out part of the word, comfortable. I say it like there's 3 syllables, but the word looks like there's 4. And some people do pronounce those sounds. Some people say comfortable. I mean, this adjective comes from the noun comfort, right? So with almost all of the words that I'm going to tell you today, there are 2 different ways that you could pronounce them. The next word is jewelry. In American English, it's written like this, and in British English, it's written like this. They're really pronounced the same, jewelry. But some people might also say jewelry. For example, they stole my money and my jewelry. The next word is chocolate.
Chocolate.
And some people might say chocolate. And when you hear me say the second pronunciation, chocolate, you might think, well, Chris, then we have no problem. I can pronounce that all day. I only mispronounce words when people don't say the sounds. But as long as you can say all of the sounds, then I'm not going to mispronounce it. Well, that's not completely true. You're not really saying all of the sounds. Even that sound that most people don't say, the people who say it, they change it to a schwa sound, or they change it to the sound that native speakers make when they are thinking really hard about something. Like that. So they don't say chocolate or chocolate. No. They say chocolate or chocolate with this sound, chocolate. But I suggest using the first pronunciation that I give you on all of these words because in my experience, most people don't pronounce these sounds. That's why I'm making this video, right? You can't have any chocolate because you didn't eat your vegetables. Okay, the next word is a day of the week. It's right in the middle of the week and it's called Wednesday. It's so confusing that this word has a D in it because we don't say D. Nobody says Wednesday, but I have to tell myself that in my head when I write this word because I pronounce it without a D so I can forget that there is a D in this word. For example, some people call Wednesday hump day because it's in the middle of the week, like a hump is in the middle of a camel's back. Okay, our next word is a month of the year. It's February. Now, some people will say February, and some people will say February. For example, Valentine's Day falls in February. All right, the next word is one of my favorites, business. Hey, it's none of your business. This is one of the words that I hear a lot of people mispronounce when they first start learning English. Instead of business, they say busyness or business. There's only 2 syllables in the pronunciation of this word. For example, if you don't know what you're talking about, mind your own business. Okay, our next word is miserable. So if you're having a really bad week or month or life and you feel really depressed, you can say, I'm just miserable. And there's 2 ways to pronounce this. You can say miserable, or you could say miserable. For example, today I lost my job, my wife, and my friends. I'm miserable. Let's talk about something positive now, like the word family, or some people might say family. And family is a little world created by love. The next word that we'll talk about is aspirin. Aspirin is a type of medicine that you might take when you have a headache. And again, some people might not say aspirin, they might say aspirin. For example, before I go to meetings with my boss, I always take an aspirin. Sometimes the pronunciation of a word is different in different places. And this next word that we're going to talk about is different in American English pronunciation and in British English pronunciation in general. Most Americans will say this word like this. They'll say laboratory, and we shorten the second syllable, right? Instead of B-O-R, we just say br. Laboratory, but we pronounce the last syllable of the word, tory. But in British English, they say the second syllable of the word. In fact, it's stressed, laboratory, but the last syllable of the word is shortened to tree instead of tory. For example, this virus was created in a laboratory. And remember, when I do my British accent, I still add in my American R. So I don't have a perfect British accent. I'm not British. All right, the next word that we should talk about is an adjective. Most of the other words that we've talked about so far have been nouns. They're things. And this word is separate. Or some people might say separate. But you cannot say separate because that's a different word. There's a verb, an action, to separate something. Or we can change that verb into an adjective and say separated if we're talking about a husband and wife who don't live together anymore. We can say they are separated, or they have separated, or they are getting separated. But the adjective separate means that two things are not together or that they are different. For example, in many places, there are separate bathrooms for men and for women. The next word that we need to talk about is every. We use this word a lot in English, right? It's also part of other words like everybody, everything, everywhere. For example, I have watched every episode of The Simpsons. The word every is usually talking about all of some things. If we don't talk about all of them, just a few of them, we might use a different word. We might use several. And the word several also has a piece of this word that people don't usually pronounce, right? You can say several, or some people might say several. For example, several of my friends own restaurants in this city. Now, I don't own a restaurant because I'm average. That's our next word, average. Or some people might say average. And I can tell you the truth in this example. I'm just an average person with an above average YouTube following. The next word is my favorite. The next word is favorite. Or some people might say favorite. Favorite means the thing I like most. So it's not correct to say most favorite. You just say, it's my favorite. But what's the opposite of favorite? If you really don't like something, if it's the last thing that you want to pick out of a group of things, for example, colors, right? I can say, blue is my favorite color, but what about brown? Well, if I really don't like brown, it's the last color that I would pick. I can say, of all the colors in the world, brown is my least favorite. The next word is conference. For example, the most interesting part of the conference was when I went on stage to speak. Or the word temperature. Some people say temperature and some people say temperature. Honestly, I prefer high temperatures to low temperatures because I don't like wearing lots and lots of clothes. I only do that on YouTube videos. But at the same time, I really don't like it when it's too hot outside, right? If the temperature's too high. But temperature can be a really useful thing, like in this example. If the party is finished and people won't leave, you can turn down the temperature in your house. That is good advice. Okay, the next word is restaurant, or some people might say restaurant. For example, it's more expensive to eat at a restaurant than to eat at home. Now, the next word that we're going to talk about is pronounced differently in American English and in British English. So in American English, it sounds like gardener And in British English, it sounds like gardener. A gardener is a person who works with the flowers and plants in your yard or your garden. But not everyone who has a garden is a gardener, as you can see in this example. He might grow plants in his garden, but that doesn't make him a gardener. Okay, the next word is bakery. And some people will say bakery, and some people will say bakery. For example, I don't buy my bread at the grocery store. I buy it at a bakery. All right, that's a lot of words, and I hope that that was really useful for you, but I've got 3 more for you too. And these words are all very similar because at the end of these words, there's an ending that's used in a lot of other words too. It's A-L-L-Y. And some people will pronounce this full suffix, this full ending of the word. Some people will say ali, and some people will take out the first part and just say li, like in these words, especially, romantically, and logically. Some people will say especially, and some people will say especially. For example, I don't like people, especially you. Just kidding. Or the word romantically. She romantically dipped her chicken nuggets in my barbecue sauce. Aw, that's love. And the word logically. Most people react emotionally because it's difficult to think logically all the time. But I'm sure you are thinking logically right now, and you're probably thinking, wow, Chris just gave me so much value in this video. I want to subscribe and click the bell button to get notified every time a new video comes out. If you're thinking that, good job. But which of these words do you have trouble pronouncing? Leave a comment down below and let me know. And make sure you go to the next video about words that are commonly mispronounced, where we'll talk about silent letters and words where the stress shifts and changes. Oh, I know, it's scary. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.